Hello and welcome to the Big Bang Theory podcast. My name's John. I'm here with my friend and colleague Dan.
Hello.
Hello, Dan. I feel like Anne Boleyn in the Tower of London and Henry VIII is a playoff position. It's like he keeps taunting us. He won't put us out of our misery. He won't admit he loves Jane Seymour. He's just got us locked up.
Ben Seymour.
Yeah, good. And we're just there waiting for termination.
Yeah.
Just waiting for our head to be chopped off and roll down the hill.
We're still in with a shout with the playoffs though, aren't we?
Oh, no, I don't want to be. I don't want to be. I'd rather
That's what she was thinking. I'm still in with a shout with Henry.
Yeah.
You never know. He might change his mind.
He might go back to the Pope and the Pope might convince him to love me.
Maybe.
Anyway, it didn't happen for her. Spoiler alert, Anne Boleyn doesn't go back to Henry VIII, if you haven't seen that series of The Crown.
No, but if history has taught us anything, then we usually do get into the playoffs. So maybe that's where the parallel between Exeter City and Anne Boleyn ends.
Maybe so.
We'll see come the end of the season.
It's been a miserable weekend, I got to say. Happy Easter to anyone who...
Yeah, if you're still bothering to listen to this, thanks. Because many won't be.
No, and not because of our witty repartee.
No. It's not quite enough, though, is it? So,
No.
You need results and witty repartee.
You do, and we've only got
The
one
old
of
saying
those
goes.
Yeah, yeah. So City came away from 2 games at the weekend, Good Friday, Easter Monday, with an unsatisfactory 1 point in total. No goals.
Wow, it feels strange that we even got a point out of those.
Yeah, undeserved, I would say.
Because it feels like it was a bad Easter, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It feels like when you get an Easter egg and you're like, I'm really I'm happy about this. And then this probably doesn't happen too much anymore. And you you crack into it and the chocolate's gone all white. You know, that kind of weird, dusty white all over it. And you're like, what's wrong with this?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's probably good. What is that? Is it too old?
I guess so.
Do you remember that used to happen?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
And it'd be like, why is it white?
Because, of course, Easter eggs have changed, much like Exeter City's promotion chances. Easter eggs used to be, you'd crack them open around Easter time, and within would be all sorts of goodies.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they used
in a cellophane bag,
in a
sure.
cellophane
But
bag.
yeah, they were inside it, weren't they? What's that about? Why have
Well,
they
I tell
changed
you what,
that?
Doris from Bourneville used to glue them together, and in doing so would slip in a delicious treat for you or I, or the children of the world.
The machine can't do it.
The machine can't do it. Poor old Doris is put on the scrap heap, and we have to live with an unsatisfactory, always hollow Easter egg, much like the promotion hopes for Exeter City. Hollow.
Yeah.
Empty.
God, there's parallels everywhere.
There certainly are. And there are good things to eat, but they're nowhere near Exeter City.
Yeah, they're in a sort of separate cardboard compartment underneath.
That's right. Much like the electronic scoreboard we've been promised. I don't want that tag. I don't care if the bag of mini eggs is bigger. I just want a few crappy jelly beans inside my egg, please.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
Right.
So, it wasn't the best... Football-wise, wasn't the best weekend.
No.
It
was awful. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it was. So if you paid the princely sum of £20, it would have cost you to watch both those games over the Easter weekend. I don't know how many Easter eggs that get you. Probably not that many, actually, because they've gone up a bit.
It'd get you a really nice big one, though, wouldn't it?
You get one big one, huge one.
I tell you what, an Easter egg that I'd never want to be given, even though it's the most expensive in the shop, is the Gillian one.
Oh, those like sort of weird seashell chocolates.
No thanks, mate. I don't care that it's 30 quid, Mum.
No.
It's clearly rubbish.
What would you say to one of those, a Fry's Easter egg?
Fry's Easter? I don't know if I've ever seen them.
I don't know if they do them, but you know what I'm talking about? Mint cream.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
All right, cool. Fry's, if you're listening and you want to sponsor the podcast, or you just want some more ideas, show at Big Bang. I don't know.
Let's get in touch.
We'll say it at the end. Hang on till the end.
So yeah, I would
right.
like that.
So let's talk about the 2 football matches, shall we?
Oh, I
mean, no one wants to. We don't want to. No one wants to hear about them.
I'd rather listen to the Big Egg Theory podcast. Yeah.
I'll tell you what else you don't see anymore at Easter.
What?
Those tiny little fluffy chicks that are about 2 centimetres big and they've got little plastic red feet.
Yeah, you don't
They're
see
little
them.
fluffy.
No.
What's happened to them? Doris hasn't put them together anymore either.
No, that's right.
Machine can't make them either.
Poor old Doris.
3D print them then. Come on,
lads.
I miss those things. Maybe they are still about, and I'm just in my 30s now, so I don't get to see them.
Perhaps. So City travelled to Vale Park, Port Vale, very wide pitch. It's worth saying. The
Yeah.
Wembley of the North, someone calls it. I don't know why, because Old Trafford's in the north, and so St James Park. But whatever.
Yeah, well, everyone always talks about Port Vale as being old. They're old, aren't they?
They are old.
Yeah.
Anyway, City went there and started poorly. Conceded from a Hartridge mistake. Well,
we started incredibly badly. What was the goal? Really early on, was it?
yeah.
So we started off, and it's you see the lineup, and it's 4-4-2. I think it looked quite promising lineup,
Rubbing
really.
our hands together.
Apart from the fact that Jake Taylor's not in there.
Yeah, because we assumed that's still from taking a knock, didn't we? The
Yeah.
previous game.
Yeah. So, but you're like, okay, well, this is what we wanted. We on this podcast were calling for an end to the negative setup of the other formation that Matt Taylor likes to deploy.
And we weren't exclusive in that. That was generally the view of the fan base. Yeah.
But this is where we can, occasionally, I will admit, once in a while, that we might be a tiny bit mistakenly wrong. But because we changed it, he switched it up. He brings off Pagey, was it?
Oh, crumbs.
Someone.
Yeah.
And Pagey. Never called him that before.
Page comes off after half an hour Sweeney.
Yeah, half an hour. And changes it. He goes, and we go back to the old 5 at the back, 3 at the back malarkey. And it's a lot better. As in, we can now actually get the ball a bit. Because before that, we couldn't get a touch. And we're playing Port Vale, who are on a hell of a run, which I think we might have missed. But I think they've now, since that game, won again. And about 5 wins in a row now. So we were playing a team in form. I don't think that's enough of a reason why we couldn't really create anything during the whole match.
I mean, it's not
nothing.
It's not atypical that City would be down. So it was 2 minutes that they scored.
Of course, it was. Alex Hartridge
bumbles around with it.
Yeah, it's a heavy touch, and he loses the ball, and we're punished for it. But I don't blame Hartridge for that one.
And you know what? He lost it so high up the pitch. There were plenty of other opportunities.
Well, other things happen after he loses it. And he's a young player. We've said before, he's going to make mistakes. He'll learn from that, hopefully.
Yeah, so 1-0 down, and then, you're right, we played another half an hour, and that half an hour was dreadful.
We just couldn't get the ball.
No.
I think the only thing we did was header it, and we couldn't get anywhere near, nothing.
And that's where you miss Taylor, I think. I mean, he can't always do it, but...
Well, as he proved in the following game, which we'll talk about later.
But, it was weak, wasn't it? And
But I think when we switched, we looked better on the ball. Wilmot and Key saw a lot of it down that right-hand side, but they just seemed both have kind of slightly off days, or Key had an off day. I'm starting to think that perhaps that's, maybe that's the real Wilmot, but I don't know. But neither of them could really, just their touch letting them down a little bit, getting in the good positions, but they couldn't really do much with it. And neither could anyone else, really, because we didn't really have any, that I can remember, any chances. Very weak in attack going forward. Very lackluster, short of ideas.
Yeah.
And it was quite boring to watch.
Yep.
And nothing at all to get excited about. And wish I hadn't bothered.
So I didn't bother. It's first £10 I haven't paid out.
Yeah, I was really hoping this was going to have this sort of effect where it's sort of like, it would be sort of sod's law for you that the one time you don't pay is we're amazing. Like when you couldn't make it to the Argyle game and then we won 4-0,
Alas, my unlucky charm.
Like that, I thought. But then now, I was saying afterwards, that's out the window now, that theory.
It's our last tactic we had going for us. So that was that. So it was 1-0. I mean, there's very little to say about it. It was just a really bad game of football and a particularly bad performance. And I don't blame Port Vale at all.
Well, they got a bobbly pitch. We're in the season now of we just blame the pitch for everything.
I mean,
I know the pitch plays a part. I know this is always a thing, but it's not that big a deal where it's the main thing you would say. I mean, football can still be played. Goals can still be scored. Chances can still be created. As anybody who has played, amateur football anywhere in the world will tell you.
Well, I mean, a lot of football was played before people even really thought about how to sort out a pitch.
Not being funny, but some of these kids in like Brazilian favelas, sort of like,
Yeah,
they're playing with like a rolled up ball of masking tape, and like
yeah. On
and
a
then
cobbled street.
some of the players they turn out to be, like.
I just think you're absolutely right. Like, you can explain, like, a ball should cross the line, right, and it lands in a puddle. On that occasion, obviously that's very clearly a factor with the pitch.
Yeah.
Or I think it was Cheltenham away, wasn't it, when it was such a wet pitch that you could clearly see that passes they were just stopping when you'd expect them to travel. This isn't like that. This is the odd bit of bobble, and maybe that's what caught Hartridge out. But that doesn't explain 88 minutes of literally don't even kick the ball correctly. Like, obviously there'll be some of them.
Well, make that 180 minutes.
Well, yeah. So then we come to Easter Monday, and you think, well, it can't be any worse than the Port Vale game.
You kind of do think that, yeah. It can't be worse than that. And it wasn't worse than that. Do you know why? Because as difficult as it is to kind of believe, we did actually get a point from that.
Yeah.
It very much felt like a loss. But then if you really look at the kind of data behind it, everyone else dropped points around us. It didn't really significantly change our status, did it?
No.
Which is just this ridiculous league. Maybe it is the pitches. I don't know. Something. No one's capitalising really.
I mean,
but we just sort of in this status. That's the thing. They are tired, and I could definitely understand that.
And what we've essentially got a squad of 16 of people that actually play at the minute, haven't we? We've got Anderson, our current, he's the only one that's playing. We've got 4 centre backs: Sweeney, Parks, Hartridge, McArdle. Haven't we?
And Sam Stubbs.
Yeah, but of actual playing.
Oh, yeah.
People
Okay.
that are actually playing.
Yeah.
We've then got across the back Key, Sparks, Page, and Caprice. The midfield is very, very unchanged. So it's really only Collins, Taylor, Atangana. And then we've got, Wilmot, now Randall Williams a bit. And then, depending on where you call Jay's position, plus Seymour. So that's like 16, 17 players. That's it.
And Bowman.
And Bowman, of course, sorry.
Although it's easy to forget after the last couple of games.
And then Seymour, who always... I know he's played the 3 games when Bowman was suspended, and then he started one other, hasn't he? But he's very much a bit part player.
Yeah.
So we hope that Stubbs would play more. Obviously, Joel Randall's injured. A Jose just hasn't happened, or he's injured, or whatever the excuse is. And then I understand why you'd keep the keeper the same.
Yeah, Joel Randall being injured as well, yeah. Did you say that already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you're lacking there, what we're really lacking there is anyone to help Taylor and Collins in the middle, isn't it, essentially? And Jay. So those 3 are just permanent.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you who that is. There's a big, bald-headed shape missing, isn't there, in the squad?
Yeah.
And I was just wondering about how having a player who's that good...
We're talking about Nicky Law, if you're not caught up.
Oh, of course, yeah. I'm sure you know, but having a player that good, even though Law wasn't starting many games, having him suddenly not being there at training, how he would have been brilliant. He was one of those players. I'm sure in training he was incredible. And it's just not seeing that every day and playing with him and training with him and having him around. There's an impact there, isn't there? And I think pretty much you can line up it's basically since he left that we've been on the wane, isn't it? And I'm not blaming that entirely on him. I'm just saying it's quite possibly a contributing factor. The fact that, we know it's a contributing factor because Nigel Atangana's had to step in and play, where 100%, if Nicky Law hadn't left and he was fit, he would have played instead.
Yes.
You know that's true.
Yeah.
So it has made a difference, because Nige, as much as there's been times where I'm not blaming it all on him.
Well, he's just not that kind of player.
There's been times when he's played all right, but there's also been times when it's been like, he's not up to this, and he's not contributing anything.
No, when he's good, he's a good defensive midfielder. We've occasionally seen, particularly his first season, glimpses of being good going forward. He's no longer got the legs to be good going forward and defending. Like Atangana,
I'm not particularly sure he's that good at defending anymore either.
Maybe
he needs to be mobile to do that too. You know what I mean? If anything, more so.
Generally, when we look to the bench these days, to go on and win a game or get back into a game, there's very few options. So Caprice or Sparks are really our options. Now, obviously, I think they're good in their positions, or good enough in their positions. They're not... It's going to be quite difficult for them to dramatically alter a game from that position. Whereas Nicky Law, as we always knew, could do that. Or
I think
Taylor coming on.
I think
Law.
probably I thought that's kind of true. We rely on our centre midfield to control the game and to feed the wingers. Someone like Randall Williams, on top of his game, I think can change a game. It's like single-handedly, because you just get him on the ball and cutting inside and and making use of himself enough to scare them into the fact that they have to double up him or whatever. Or it brings gives the rest of our team more space or breathing space, to create chances. I do think that works. However, he's just coming back from a broken leg, so he can't be expected to come straight back in at his best. No. So, and we didn't see the best of him when he came on. He came on at half time against whoever we were playing at the weekend. Mansfield. Yeah. I can never remember. And obviously, he didn't do anything. No. He tried cutting in a few times. The commentary said it was a lovely run at one point when he just dribbled it across their box and then booted it off.
I mean, that's like a confidence, isn't it? Because he was in a good position. He made a good start to the run.
He's always been a bit one of those where
he has a bit. Wants a perfect chance.
He wants to wait. Yeah. Where he should just screaming at him to hit it.
Yeah.
And he doesn't. He just keeps sort of skipping on, and then it just comes to nothing. And also, I did see he did. If you watched that game, Mansfield Town, you will have witnessed possibly the worst corner ever taken by anyone.
By him.
By Randall Williams. Yeah.
I think that's right. I think so. We're lacking those attacking options.
But I think sorry, Law.
No. Well, I think there's a cultural thing around the club here, and a kind of big question. Now, the story of Exeter City in this season is, it was a weird year. We didn't know how long it would be before supporters would come back. We didn't necessarily know if we'd get any. Obviously, we didn't get many games. We didn't know what support we'd get from the league. We had to consolidate our position. We couldn't go out and splash all the money. Like, I get that. I totally understand that. I think the story has been able to change over the season. So actually, it's now pretty clear, and it was probably already quite clear by January, that next season would look like something better. There's also, of course, Watkins money that's appeared throughout the year. So that was available to us from last summer when he moved to Aston Villa. Or certainly we knew it was coming. Fine, we don't want to spend money because we're not sure about what's coming in. That's probably solid trusteeship of the club by the board. But then to let Law go and not think we need a better answer here is naive, I think, to think that things would be okay. Or is the story actually, no, we realised probably the chances of promotion this year wouldn't really work, so therefore we're over it.
Well, maybe maybe that's the more likely.
And I think the problem with that is then, I think the club exists for two purposes, doesn't it? It exists for football to happen in Exeter and to continue to happen at a sustainable level. Like, brilliant. Okay, we really understand that. But that happens so that the people of Exeter can enjoy football with their local club. Like, there's no point just a club existing MK Dons style.
Well, it has to be ambitious too, and our only ambition at the moment is the promotion on the pitch is promotion.
Yeah,
and I think it's only the reason that people are kind of, and it feels upsetting or it feels frustrating when this sort of thing happens to us and we're kind of like the promotion chances slip away at this stage of the season is because we've been so close in recent years. If we'd been 15th every year, and then this season we'd done this, especially given the circumstances, we'd be over the moon.
Yeah.
We'd be thinking this is great. And to be honest, we probably are punching above our weight from the beginning of the season. We're probably better off than I thought we were going to be at this point at the beginning of the season. It's just, I think what it is, it's like you said, it does change over the course of the season, your kind of expectations. And we were just playing such great football earlier on that we've still got the goal difference now.
Yeah, we're still third highest.
And we've barely scored since Christmas.
Yeah.
I think there was one game where we...
It was Orient, wasn't it?
Scored 4.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that's it. It's only because I'd be fine with I'm not fine with watching such a boring display as the last two matches. I want better than that. I want to be entertained a bit,
Yeah.
just a bit. I'm not asking for Barcelona tiki-taka. I just want to be entertained a bit. Good recent reference, that tiki-taka. I don't think that's going on anymore. But yeah, and I think that's why people's expectations are perhaps higher than they should be, because it was so good to watch, and you were like, okay, brilliant, and then it's just gone, oh, no more of that. That's over now, and we're back to just the worst, like just the most boring football you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And just like not even a shot. We barely had a shot in 2 games.
And
the one time Lewis Page blasted it miles over the bar,
Yeah.
and I didn't blame him in the slightest.
No. And ultimately, the club needs to be sustainable, and the obviously biggest source of sustenance is 5,000 people coming every week. And in August, that will be the hope for the club, won't it? That 5,000 plus people come back, that we're allowed away fans. Obviously, if you can get... Because we're always talking, well, if we get into League One, that brings bigger away fans. And that's something that, that's really kind of...
We also know for a fact that if we play well and and the results go away, more of our supporters go.
Exactly that. That's much more within our control than, and if we get to... Because what's the point in being sustainable in League One if the football's really boring? Like, people would stay away then. So, yeah, you'd make up 1,000 away supporters because you're playing Wigan, but you've lost 1,000 of your home supporters, and they're not coming back when you go down to League Two, So we need to understand, the club needs to understand, it's not enough to just shrug their shoulders and say, well, we've got to stay alive for the year. Like,
yeah,
we know, we can all see the figures. We know that this season, we're fine. We're in a much better position than lots of other clubs, even without supporters, remarkably so, and testament to the club. The narrative now has to be, we've got 20 years of the trust now, so the narrative now has to be, where are we trying to go next? We've left Torquay in our wake. Brilliant. Well done. Marvellous. Because obviously there have been points in our history where you look like, oh, we're struggling below them.
Yeah.
But now our ambition needs to be that, actually, no, this is a sustainable thing that can challenge. Surely...
I think considering the size of club and the size of the city, off the pitch, a lot of the things, if you look at infrastructure-wise, the training facilities, the new stand, the stuff they're doing, the stupid scoreboards, whatever, that's what modern football clubs have. So if that's what they want, then I can think of better ways to spend the money, but whatever. At least that shows we're moving in a direction, I suppose,
Yeah.
But then, on the pitch,
it's... Cambridge are directly proportionate to us, right? That's the same size city, similarly rural, similarly no history of high-level football.
Bit closer to London, probably a bit easier to buy players, probably.
Maybe so, but, it's...
Much worse badge.
That's got to be our ambition, and you can't expect people...
They've got Morse, we've got Whitcliffe.
Yeah, sure. We can't expect supporters just to put up with the Tisdale lines, and I'm talking later period Tisdale, of just like, get over it. Essentially, get over it. And I don't believe Matt Taylor's this kind of person, but the last couple of interviews have just basically been, get over it, the pitches are bad. Get over it, the lads are young. Get over it, I've got a small squad. Like,
yeah, I know what you mean, and I get that, and it's hard to do. It's hard to get a message across, probably. I'm giving them some benefit of the doubt here, that it's difficult to get your point across, and to be also for people to kind of like to remain kind of liked, and especially in defeats and stuff like that. I imagine it's hard playing that kind of press game. And I don't want to criticise Matt Taylor too heavily. Like I said, we have played some brilliant stuff. It's been the best football to watch in years. Ironically, none of us have been able to go and watch it apart from a brief spell in the middle of the season. I think he's doing a great job. I'm really pleased to have him there, and I want him to stay. You just worry that I'm not sure that we can. That it's got things that have got to improve on the pitch. I think otherwise fans just do get upset. You can see them all getting upset now on the internet. Going berserk.
And I can't blame them.
But why aren't they? I know the players are tired, and I'm happy to sort of say, okay, it's more that than a lack of motivation. Because why aren't they motivated? And Matt Taylor said in an interview recently that he's not an emotional person. He's been criticised by his family for not being emotional. Now, I think he was like, I watched Schindler's List and I didn't cry. Is that how I don't know. That's how he talks.
No, not really.
Do they maybe need a bit more emotion? The player to get them. Do we need a bit of the Redknapp school of managing? Harry Redknapp kind of like. I'm usually kind of like think that all that bluster and kind of like personality kind of based kind of like motivation is a bit not really real, but obviously it is a bit maybe. I don't know. Is that something to do with it? I'm just kind of speculating really. Is it when they go into the change room at half time and you've just got Matt Saylor and he's completely devoid of any emotion, which is his own words, not mine.
Yeah.
Does that, maybe that's what's making us fail to be able to kind of like come out and, I don't know.
We've talked before about the culture we've built, and I think we very much built a culture of if the stands are better, if the club is sensibly run, if the players are well treated, if the academy, respects the young men, but also ask them to respect us, then we'll build a culture. And I think that's really good that we've done that. But it boils down to at what cost? Is that all we're aiming for? That it's a nice run club, or actually, because that's not the only thing that supporters want. It's a lot of money to buy a season ticket, to go every week, to take your family. You're looking at £100, or you can be, a week. And it's not enough just to say, but the scoreboard works now. No one would give two hoots.
No, yeah, you're right, yeah.
No, I know you got to do either or, and I know that bringing in sponsorship money...
We've now got ricotta pasties.
Yeah, which I did like. But,
It's not enough.
There has to be an understanding across the hierarchy, down to the manager, that we expect and need more. We're all stuck with it. This is our football club. For both of us now, it's been a very long time supporting them, and obviously for other people who support Exeter City, it's been much longer. And come on, understand that on occasions. We can't just, especially in this weird year of just hideous nothingness, we can't just keep accepting. Like we've always said, we prefer to lose 3-0 and it looked like we were trying than just an absolute, we kept a clean sheet. I don't care.
Really, when they mentioned that we someone at the end of that Mansfield match said, "It's a clean sheet." I was almost felt insulted.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That I just had to sit through that second match of the weekend, and it wasn't that bad. I mean, people will say what? I mean, what are you complaining about? A couple of bad performances or abject performances, but they were, which in perspective that's true, but it just that's quite a lot of money, Do you know what I mean?
It's everything. It's I don't think any.
All I want is to have a couple of shots. It's not. I'm not asking for much.
Is there?
We just didn't have any shots.
No. And is there a recognition that for loads of us, we're really looking forward to this, and throughout the week of which nothing's happening and it's a rubbish week?
Personally, for me, yeah, I am. Yeah. But people have got it worse than me. Sure, I'm bored, and I look forward to Exeter City matches. And the last thing I need is for them to be boring too. You know what I mean? Because the whole of, at the moment, Exeter City is fast losing ground to BBC police drama Line of Duty in my list of priorities for the week.
Yeah, honestly, if the relegation zone is putting the bins out every week and looking forward to that day, City are tottering above that relegation line because, it's just been bad. And
the best bit about that Mansfield game was watching Jamie Reid and Matt Jay have a chat at the end.
Yeah.
I don't even know why that was good.
Well, yeah.
It was just look at them two mates.
I know, and I like that, but I also
genuinely was the most enjoyable bit.
So I think there needs to be an opportunity like this season. I hope that this season's gone because I don't believe we would ever win at Wembley, and I think it would just be embarrassing.
Me neither. I just don't think we've got the mentality for it.
No, That's right. So any of those teams above us, most of them have beaten us.
Interestingly, now we've got to play just teams from the top 8 or just teams from the bottom 8.
Yeah.
We've got no more of those middling teams left now. So it's only we're basically, I'm not quite sure what the bottom of the league looks like. But
Southend, Grimsby, isn't it?
Yeah. So there's not too much. Some of those teams down the bottom there haven't got much to play for. But they do a bit. They're sort of involved in a bit of a relegation. It's not done yet, is it? You know what I mean? Or we're playing against teams
Still
fighting to try and win. So every team we play now has pretty much got something to play for. And we've got to find something from somewhere, haven't we? Because we haven't been able to muster anything against teams which have absolutely nothing to play for now. I know some you say, well, these players are playing for better contracts, a better team. Kind of. Yeah, true, whatever. But ultimately, as a team, they got nothing to play for there.
So, I hope the season's over. I can't bear. I'd rather we just lost the next game.
How many
games
games are left? 8. That's another 80 quid's worth of football I've got to watch. It's got to be a bit better, please. 80 quid. Otherwise, can I redeem that in sort of
mugs
from the club shop merch?
Yeah. So that's that. But I think we have not got. I don't want us to go to Wembley, and I certainly don't want to pay £100 to go to Wembley and get thrashed by Salford or Bolton or whoever it would be.
I know, but we would though.
Of course we would. Yeah, of course I would.
I know.
I do all of this stuff. Like we all do. Like everyone listening to this
I can't bring myself to say I don't want to, even though I don't want to.
I'm saying it loud. I don't want to.
Because we would lose, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
We wouldn't even. This year, we're kind of due a loss in a semi-final, really, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope that the club acknowledges where we've been this year, acknowledges the frustrations of everything, like the pandemic, which is no one's fault, but also of we've just petered out after having such a good start to the year. I mean, this was a really good chance at automatic promotion, a really good chance. And of course, in hindsight's a wonderful thing. And we fully acknowledge that Bowman had engaged and looked like he was still on board post the transfer window. Well, it now looks like actually maybe he's not, or maybe he's exhausted.
Well, I mean, the only thing that can happen there is what? So is the theory that he's already agreed terms with somebody?
Don't know.
Is that final? Is that ink dry? Because I don't know who would want him playing like that. And I'm not blaming it all on him necessarily. Didn't get much service. It's not just about that.
No.
He still did nothing.
Let's say, like you look at Mansfield. I know we don't have the money and the rich benefactor, but we also have some money. Mansfield had Jamie Reid on the bench, right? Who scored, 10 goals this year, something like that. But had a good season, right? Off the bench. We've had no one to come off the bench because we didn't want a Jose. Now, in January or December or November, Matt Taylor already knew a Jose was never playing again, or certainly very little. I just think we should have, at that point in November, where our promotion charge was very much on.
Yeah. I think maybe we, as a club, I'm not suggesting Matt Taylor, I think maybe the club just thought, well, let's just not.
And see how it goes.
And see how it's still going quite well at the moment. Let's just see if we can get away with it without spending that any money. And then if we don't, well, pandemic on and the pitch is rubbish. Mm. It's kind of like it's all set up for the excuses are already there.
I think collectively, someone that in that room should have been like, no, come on, like, actually automatics are something that have really eluded us a lot.
Yeah, and maybe Matt Taylor was that person. We're never going to know that.
No,
I'm not suggesting that he was. He might well have been. And he may well have been saying all right, okay, I agree to I'm part of the letting Nicky Law go. He might be going, I need someone in. And they weren't giving him. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that should have happened. Yeah. When we knew a Jose wasn't going to feature this season, which must have been at least a suspicion around Christmas sort of time, or like you said, a bit earlier maybe, or before January.
Yeah.
And we knew Nicky Law was going. And we were in such a good position at that time. We were playing so well. It's a bit naive, or I don't really, or kind of like resigning.
Penny pinching.
Yeah, or something to go like, we won't bother replacing them then.
No.
We got Nige, we got Ben Seymour.
It's a very thin squad.
And I'm nothing against those two players. I like Nigel Hudson-Garner in a way. And I think Ben Seymour's got every chance of being a decent player, but right now, neither of them are up to the job.
We needed 3, and I also think the communication around Sam Stubbs was lacking. So he was, he looks like a good player, and he may well be a good player, and he may well next season really push on. And when we come to sell him,
We weren't told, were we? That
No.
I can't remember that we're buying this player and he's out for the rest. But he's out for the rest of the season.
no,
And so I know something else could have happened, but was that told? Oh yeah, like you said, the communication has been vague at best.
if
What's happened to him?
yeah, don't know, and I'm disappointed in that.
Also, do we only interview ourselves now?
Yeah, where are Devon Live in the conversation? I don't know.
Like, why has that happened?
Don't know.
I'm not saying anything bad against the Exeter City interviewer, but they're employees.
Well, they've been. I think they do Zoom interviews pre-match, don't they? So we see Taylor.
Yeah. So is that from?
I don't know who that's
Is that
from.
an independent?
It could be Devon Live, couldn't it? Because
I don't think it is.
So they ask questions about a Jose, don't they?
Yeah, but I think that's because they get every now and then it gets absolutely the pressure piles on. They keep
Maybe.
getting asked about it. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. It's not. I mean, it's nice to do your own interviews, isn't it?
The January conversation, if communication had been key, and if we'd done what we now hope we should have done, I know we didn't know Bowman was going, but also Bowman's been carrying the whole thing, and Seymour is too young to do it and too inexperienced, and Jose's not playing. An ideal January for us.
And Fisher.
Yeah, and Fisher.
Not even mentioning him, but
he's also not up to it. If we had either bought or taken on loan or done a kind of, well, come and train with us till the end of the season thing, like we did with Randall Williams first time around, for a striker and an attacking midfielder, plus Sam Stubbs, where they're like, well, look, he's a purchase for next season. If we and maybe he'll get a few games this year, I think we'd be like, okay, we could totally get this.
I know we don't particularly like doing the doing loans particularly down. We don't do a lot of them anyway. You know what I mean? But we've had them attackers in the past. We've had Donovan Wilson, we've had Ryan Loft. I know they didn't do a huge amount, but
Yeah, but we've had other loans that have really worked out.
Yeah, and it's worth. Under these circumstances would it have not been worth bringing someone in just for? Just another option, even. You know what I mean? But then again, I don't know. You got Alex Fisher, he doesn't use him.
I also think the loan market, the everything market this year is skewed, isn't it? So there's no National League, or there wasn't for a really long time. So there's obviously the pool is much smaller of where loanees can go.
Yeah.
So we would have had a better chance. We always get people from West Brom, and we always get people from Reading, and that kind of, the story is we can't get loan players down here. We can't get people to move here. But also, players want to play. Clubs want to happily give their players more experience. Exeter City is very well known as an encouraging place to play.
Well, especially at the moment. The
Especially
profile
at the moment.
basically has never been higher.
Yeah.
Like we were saying the other day about in England when they wouldn't shut up about us, would they?
No. So, and we've taken Anderson on loan. So it's not like no loans ever.
Nah.
We loaned him twice. So I think that's where we've fallen down this year, and I think that's really disappointing. And I think if the season peters out like it looks like it might, we'll see a knock-on next year, disappointingly.
In what way?
Like literally attendance and season ticket sales. And
Right.
I'm quite surprised we haven't put our season tickets on sale yet, because obviously people have saved quite a lot of money this year. You've seen stuff about other clubs. Their season tickets are on sale now. They're doing really good deals for buying them early.
I mean, it's a good message to the club to maybe don't take your supporters for granted.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And don't take your trustees for granted either. We all pay in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people there, because you could be forgiven for thinking, well, everyone's desperate to do something, so it's not like we need to worry about people coming. They're going to come. Well, you're right. I'm invested now, so I will come. Even though at times I'm kind of thinking, why have I spent money on this to sit at home when it's sunny outside to watch this?
I mean, you and I are in, I don't know, the 3,000 committed, right? And there's 3,000, and everyone listening to this is probably in the 3,000 committed. we're going whatever, and we always have done. You know, we might miss the odd
Except
one.
for you weird voyeurs out there who don't even watch Exeter City and just listen to this.
Who I like very much, and please continue to listen. But yeah, like that 3,000, we're kind of untouchable. You know, we were going at the very worst times, and we'll go at the very best times, and we'll encourage our friends and our children to do the same. But it's the other 2,000 that
I haven't got any children or friends, but I will encourage anyone who will listen.
You got a dog?
Nope. That's why I started this podcast.
But, you know, like, it's the other 2,000, the other 3,000. You look at Lincoln City, they get an enormous amount of people because the story of the club has really kicked on, you know. That's where the
Cowley brothers.
Well, they get 8,000 to home.
No, I know that's. I mean, I'm both, you know, praising them and mocking them.
Yeah,
in
but they're
the same
pushing.
Breath.
They're pushing for Championship football.
We had ours, though, didn't we? We had our little funny Paul Tisdale man.
Yeah,
and it did work for a bit.
But I just think that's the problem. If the next 8 games are 0-0s and defeats, or we scrape a couple of wins, that's unfortunate. And I think that in August, that'll be really a shame. Whereas if the story was, come and see the next Ollie Watkins, we don't win everything, but we're really going for it.
Yeah, I think we. The only thing is here, this is all true, but we have been victims of how good we were early in the season.
I know.
We've got no right to be there this season, really. Like you said, I think mistakes have been made. Potentially, we don't know exactly what goes on, but I think you're right. The mistakes have been made with some transfers and maybe being a bit tight-fisted when it wasn't necessary to be that, you know, frugal. But like,
also, Dan, who cares about the scoreboard? Like, I understand why we've bought the park building, but a scoreboard, what's that costing?
Some people want it.
I mean, who? Fix
Little
the
kids.
Existing score. Like,
Little kids who go to the match and stuff. You know what I mean?
I don't listen to them.
No, neither do I. But the other thing is, in theory, that thing should pay for itself because, like, you know, because of the advertising revenue it generates.
Fine. If it does so, fine.
Those magical words that everyone loves to hear about, especially on podcasts.
I just don't think
advertising revenue.
Yeah, I just don't think that's the story we wanted to hear.
Isn't that the kind of B plot in one of those kind of in like those Star Wars movies, like the you know, the 90s ones, 2000s? Isn't there something about that?
What?
Advertising revenue or something?
Probably.
Trade
Jar Jar
embargoes.
Binks will advertise your Levi's for you. But I mean, I don't know what they're doing with the scoreboard. I don't know if it's going to go where the old scoreboard is or whether it's going to go in the gap, right? If it goes where the old scoreboard is, and at the moment we're just watching it on one camera I follow, we can't even see the blessed thing, right? If it goes in the gap, most people stand on the big bank. You can't see it. We're showing the away fans the advertising board. Like, what's the narrative here? Even if that's tagged grand plan.
They might want to come down to Devon and buy some tyres for their car.
Sure, they might need to, because it's such a long way from Bristol. But
yeah.
Do
it here. Why do it in Carlisle?
Don't tell us that in the pandemic. Tell us that we're investing in the long term by buying the buildings we use. Great. That makes loads of sense. We're also putting to the playing budget so that we're going to sign 10 academy players. Great. That's what I want to hear. Matt Jay's now signed up for the next 3 years. Wonderful.
This is the same club that every now and then, they'll kind of like, the people around the club will whenever they can will sort of go like, you know, we could move the ground out to, you know, the outskirts of Exeter, and we could have conferences there and concerts.
Yeah,
these are the same people, you know.
I know.
They don't get it. Unfortunately, they do wield a bit of power, but they need people like me and you to slap them down. And that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing. Just, I think that is an unfortunate story we've been told this year. The story should be pandemic hit, absolute nightmare for loads of clubs, not a nightmare for this club because we are sustainably run thanks to all you brilliant trust members, right? Your support this year, and they've done this, like, don't get me wrong, they did this at the start of the year. Your support this year has been incredible. And look, here are the fruits. Enjoy this. Ollie Watkins is playing for England, and that is part of the narrative of this club, which is brilliant, right?
Yep.
But that's not enough. The narrative can't just be Watkins. I don't support Ollie Watkins. I'm pleased for Ollie Watkins. I support Exeter City.
Yeah.
The narrative also has to be, and look, here is Joel Randall, who plays for Exeter City, enabling us to challenge for promotion against scumbags like Salford City, thanks to you, the supporters, and thanks to this club. Like, that's what we need the story to be.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the story has become the pitch isn't good enough and the players are tired and electronic scoreboard.
Yeah, we need that electronic scoreboard. Otherwise, if we had the electronic scoreboard, Nigel Ratangana would be a better footballer.
Because he could look
Wouldn't
up
he?
and think, oh, we're losing, I should do better here.
I mean, every cloud, though, because if the football's that bad, we could potentially stand there watching adverts
Maybe they could
instead.
pipe in the Chiefs. I don't even like rugby. Maybe they could show me the Chiefs while I'm watching one of our terrible corners.
Don't tempt them. You know that that's gonna that if the Chiefs can get crowbarred in somewhere, they will.
Yeah, Big Chief will be there with all his racist overtones. No thanks.
Grecian the Lion has been retired, and we are now going to share mascots with yeah.
I mean, he's called Big Chief. Do me a favour. Anyway, the good news is, listeners...
And he's white.
Yeah. The good news is, listeners, we get to play probably potential champions of League 2, 4 wins in a row, Cambridge United this Saturday. So no fear there. No worries.
Yeah.
That's good, isn't it? I can only see positives coming from this. There we are.
Well, I just hope it's not boring at this stage because, like you said, we don't really want to go to Wembley anyway. I don't know. Oh, realistically, I just want to see a good showing.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's not just... I'm not saying that they're not trying, and I've been quite careful to not say that I don't think that the players... I don't necessarily... I know we sort of said that maybe about Bowman, but we are trying to sort of search around for answers, yeah, but I don't think it's that they don't care or that they're, not trying hard enough or whatever, or they're on the beach or whatever, but...
No, I think they're frustrated, and I think they're also knackered.
But I just want to see I want to see a bit more than that,
Yeah. Yeah, and
we're trying to do this everything we've been saying and this throughout this episode is we're just kind of like trying to find the answers or speculate on what it could have been and all these possible reasons for it, and it sounds like more's happened than we just lost one and drew one, but it's sort of the culmination of it, and also
culmination,
and it's the sort of boring weekend of football when you could have been doing something nice with your loved ones.
I think I get Taylor's point. Port Vale have got 30 in their first team squad. We've got 20, of which 5 are injured. I get that, or 25, of which 8 are injured, or whatever it is. So I understand that's part of the story. I understand that they're exhausted. I understand this has been a difficult season and it's been non-stop and loads of cancellations because of the weather and other stuff. I understand all of those problems. Most of those things are true for everyone else. Yeah, Port Vale have got a squad of 30, but yeah, we still see most of those players play every week.
Yeah, and all those things are true and they are all valid. But are they valid if what you're talking about is, but all I'm asking for is that you have a couple shots.
Yeah.
We can't do that. That's what it is we want in return, So the things you're saying are true. We don't have the facilities other teams have.
At the moment.
Right now, perhaps. The reasons for that are varied.
Yeah.
But just want to have a few shots.
Yeah.
Just want to play with a bit of intent.
Yeah. And, of course, while it's true to say some teams have 30 in the first team squad, we've got 10 players who can play in the first team who cost us nothing, right? So it's not enough just to say, well, we're running on a shoestring. We're not running on a shoestring. We've got a smaller playing budget than some places. And partly that's Gary Neville or whatever. But we've also got a very good system that means that actually our playing squad costs less money, therefore enabling emergency loans. I don't even mean emergency. I mean January loans, January purchases, blah, blah, blah. So that's where we are. It's a disappointing weekend. I think we can say that for sure.
Yeah. We certainly seem disappointed. So what's next? Cambridge
and then Barrow.
Barrow on the Tuesday night?
Yeah.
Where?
That's the one that was called off. So that's away.
It's weird, isn't it? Because we've still got to play Barrow twice.
Yeah.
And someone else twice.
No, it's just Barrow now, isn't it? Twice.
No, I think we've got to play someone else twice, haven't we?
Cambridge, Barrow, Southend, Forest Green, Newport, Grimsby, Bolton. Barrow.
Okay.
So it's just, like you said, like you've alluded to, most of those teams have got something to play for. I think we'll do very well to get 10 points from those 8 games, which is not promotion or playoff form, and we don't want to go to Wembley and get battered. There's a number of reasons, aren't there? We don't want the embarrassment. We want the pitch to be able to recover. We want the squad to be able to recover, the ones that are staying. We want Taylor to be given the time and to know his budget for next year to be able to bring in the players that we need. We want to know who's leaving earlier. All that stuff means that actually there's no value in making up the numbers at the playoffs. I mean, if we turn it around, just to say as a caveat, if the next games are enthralling and wonderful and full of...
Oh, look, if next time you hear from us, it could be as if none of this has ever happened. We could be talking as if Nigel Atangana, I don't know why he's getting so much stick for me today. He's just, he's the lightning rod for all of it. We could be praising them, as if they're the best team of all time, and Matt Taylor's the, footballing version of, I don't know, who's a successful Mancunian? I don't know.
Sean
Ryder, yeah. Steve Coogan.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Look, seems unlikely.
It seems unlikely. So, yeah, I think the rest will do us good. I think it's probably time to start to assess our options now. Beginning of April's here. Season will be done in 4 weeks, basically. I hope that Taylor is really putting the pressure on the board and the scouting networks to find who's going to push us on next year. And who's going to be going and who's going to be staying and all that stuff.
I think I'd rather. Can we not use that scoreboard money to have a couple more, expand the coaching staff a bit or something, or the scouting network?
You think so? I mean, maybe that stuff's happening as well. And we just haven't.
I know. Yeah, maybe this scoreboard's just getting a bit more.
I mean, I get that you probably can't talk about next year's playing budget or who we're bringing in. If those players, because we don't know, Taylor might already have 4 lined up to come in.
Yeah, and all of it's dependent on loads of factors as well, isn't it? So we can't judge them for that, what they haven't done yet. We can only judge them what they have already done.
Yeah. Anyway, that's enough bemoaning of the situation.
Yeah, that's like letting off a valve, wasn't it? Sorry about that. It's like 45 minutes to an hour of just kind of pressure release.
I hope that's made you feel better, listeners. If it hasn't, apologies. Next week we'll be back with loads of positives. You can get in touch with us in all the normal ways, of course. Do you agree? Do you disagree? You can tell us on Twitter @BigBankPod, on Facebook, the Big Bang Theory Podcast, or on email, bigbankpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us what you think.
I have forgotten to do my 4 Exeter City related guests that I'd have over for dinner.
Okay.
But I'll do it for next week.
Okay, all right. We'll work on that for next week when we're not so livid.
Yeah, today just didn't feel like the time.
Didn't feel like the time. Thanks for listening, as always. My name's John. I've been here with my friend and colleague Dan.
Cheers.
See you soon.